Alright, what's going on people, Ring Roadmap here, and today we're going to be talking about some punches that are essential for pillow punchers, or for guys who doesn't have as much power. Me, myself, is included in that list. Now, I've had this idea because I've watched Harrison versus Zoo, and we can obviously see the power difference between them. I think Harrison could have won if he added a couple more punches besides the jab, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, okay? So I'm not going to be including the flicker jab or the stiff jab in the list, okay? Because now, what I found is from sparring guys who are like more powerful than I am, is that usually the jab isn't enough, okay? You need other punches in your arsenal in order to survive against people who obviously have more power than you do, okay? So it's going to be 4 punches here that we're going to be talking about, so let's get right into it. The first one is going to be the double jab or multiple jabs if possible, okay? Now the reason why I say this is because if you only throw stiff jabs, let's say single jabs like this, right? Eventually, there are 2 things that you need to be concerned about. Number 1, typically they'll figure that shit out and then they'll just slip out of the way, counter you with an uppercut, right? Counter you with a right hand. And so it's very predictable after a while if you just keep on throwing single jabs. If you double it up, not only are they not able to counter you on time, but usually if they slip, you can catch them on that slip and then you can throw another jab to push their head back. Okay, so there's 2 things here. Number 1, you're preventing them from countering you, and then number 2, you are also disrupting their rhythm. Offensively, you're also disrupting their pressure, because once their head gets snapped back like this, usually it'll break their forward momentum. Their whole body comes back, or their whole body moves backward together with their head if it gets snapped back like that. So that's one thing right there that you need to be working on, or that's one punch that you need to be working on. You need to work on double jabs, right? Triple jabs. You need to do it while circling left, circling right. Alright, you need to do it moving backwards too. Boom. You need to do it moving forward. Okay, and that's gonna help you out a whole lot, okay? If you just make that tiny adjustment of throwing double to triple jabs instead of just throwing stiff jabs. Now don't get me wrong, you know, single jabs are obviously more powerful. Usually they're heavier, but it gets predictable, like I said. And again, somebody who has a great chin, great power, usually they'll just eat that shit and eventually counter you with a big shot, okay? So let's get into number 2. Number 2, this is going to be that one shot that you'll bank on, you know, if you want to throw a power shot. And it's going to be the overhand right. Now you may think, oh, why not the cross? Well, it's because the cross is easier to counter, okay? Usually it's easier to counter, it's easier to see coming. And so what I found is that the overhand is just a better punch. If you're gonna put all your power in one shot, it's gonna be the overhand, okay? And the reason why is because it's harder to see coming. Usually it comes on the blind side of your opponent, so you, instead of going here, you usually go here. Okay, and they don't see that shit coming as much or as often. And so that's the second one right there. You need to work on your overhand. If you're only gonna bank on your one shot, or if you're only gonna bank on one shot, I would say it's the overhand right. Work on your overhand right. You know, let's say your opponent is already overwhelming you with shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're just gonna time them, you know, in the middle of that combo, and then throw your overhand. When all of your other options are exhausted, the overhand right will save you. I can guarantee you that shit, okay? And I've known that from facing guys who are like 3 to 4 times more powerful than I am in terms of punching power. So the third one is going to be body uppercuts. And the reason why this is such an effective punch is because you don't really need a lot of power for your body uppercuts to hurt, okay? Usually if you're going on the side of your body or on the side of your opponent's body, right, body hooks, usually there needs to be some power in order for that to hurt. You know, they can eat that shit pretty well. They can absorb that pretty well. And you'll need to have heavy hands in order for those body hooks to hurt. But body uppercuts is a different thing, especially if you hit the right spot, okay? Especially if you hit the solar plexus. You don't need a whole lot of power. Now, why do I say this? Because, or why do I recommend this for pillow punchers? Because number 1, once your opponent starts to overwhelm you, you'll get tired, okay? And your power will naturally diminish. And so it's important to have a punch in your arsenal that doesn't require a lot of power to hurt. And to me, that's the body uppercut. And you need to work both the short uppercut, like this, right? And the stabbing, and the long uppercuts, the bolo type of uppercuts. So usually this will come as a counter shot, okay? This will come in your slip counters, okay? Okay, you'll have to reach longer. So those are two uppercuts that you need to work on. You need to work on more of the stabbing uppercuts here. Okay? And you also need to work on your bolo uppercuts from long range. Usually that's more risky. It's going to open you up more, but it provides variety in your offense. Finally, it's going to be the check hook. Okay, you need the check hook as well. And who's the best example for this? The best example for this is Nonito Donaire. This is one shot that he likes to bank on whenever he's overwhelmed, whenever he's tired, whenever he doesn't have any combinations left, whenever his gas tank is kind of going down. You'll see him. He'll just cover up right here, wait for the right time, right? And then throw his check hook. That's one shot that he likes to bank on. And not only is this a good shot for knocking your opponent out or hurting them, but it's also a good shot for just keeping them at a distance in general. Because when you're jabbing right here, usually your opponent will slip it, right? And so by changing it up and then throwing a check hook instead, okay, you'll break that side-to-side head movement rhythm that they have, okay? And so it's really important to have the check hook as well together with your double jabs because you can kind of mix it up, right? If they're coming closer, you can just go here, change the trajectory of your punch, right? You can also do it as a step back counter, okay? You can also do it as a counter to the jab. You parry the jab here, check hook. You can do it in a whole lot of ways.